Despite the fact that I've been going on about this for almost a year now, it seems like other people are starting to realize that the CROW reboot is an absolute piece of shit that should have never taken flight. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, we are a little over 2 months out from the release date of the CROW reboot starring Bill Skarsgard and FKA Twigs. Initially, the movie was set to release June 7th, which would have been like 5 days ago, but for reasons unknown and never explained, the release date got pushed back all the way to August 23rd. I, for one, have been particularly outspoken about what an absolute disaster this is because I happen to be a huge fan of both James O'Barr's original comics and the original film from 1994 starring the late great Brandon Lee. The CROW is my favorite movie of all time, so of course I'm a little sensitive about this, but it seems like now more than a few people are starting to jump on that bandwagon. Cliff Dorfman, who is a writer in Hollywood, actually made a comment about a screening that he went to and talked about the CROW. And this is what he had to say. If hypothetically one happened to see a screening of the CROW, which Lionsgate is releasing in August, one might say it's horrible, it's unwatchable, don't waste your money, or can't believe it's so much worse than the original. It is, and don't. I feel like that went a little haywire at the end there, but I think we can all gather that Dorfman thinks this is a crow-shaped, flaming piece of shit. And while I haven't seen the movie, I have to agree on what I know so far. But let's dig a little deeper into that statement. Now, in all fairness, I cannot say that Dorfman is a 100% unbiased opinion. Dorfman is actually the screenwriter that was originally attached to this project before it all got flipped on its head and directors and writers changed. So, some people on Reddit, for instance, might be very quick to claim that Dorfman's statement about the CROW being unwatchable, well, it could be a biased thing. He was essentially removed from the project when everything changes, so he might be a little bit bitter about it, right? Surely everybody involved with the movie now is 100% happy with what they've done with it. Well, actually, not everybody. Bill Skarsgard himself, who is playing Eric, apparently not Draven, has actually said that he is unhappy with part of the movie. In a recent interview, he was asked about the ending, and he said, "I personally preferred something more definitive, which suggests that the ending of the 2024 film sets up a sequel." There's a number of things to unpack here. So if you don't know the history of the original The CROW, they really did have plans for more than one movie, and that's why we ended up getting a bunch of sequels, because they did intend on doing more. The movie ended up just kind of being a standalone, and there weren't any more Eric Draven movies after it because Brandon Lee passed away. And in my opinion, they should have left it that way, and if they wanted to reboot The CROW, they should have picked somebody else. Why make the guy look just like the protagonist from The CROW Wild Justice while still calling him Eric Draven, a character that was practically born and unfortunately died with Brandon Lee?
Can't rain all the time.
But that's neither here nor there. It's very obvious that Lionsgate is intent on beating a dead horse with the CROW franchise, because not that long ago I made a video about some comments from the producer of this new CROW film. He mentioned that he wanted to make it a franchise. Despite the fact that he was going to have it be a very anti-Marvel thing, he wanted a franchise with the potential for animated series and video games and all the corny bullshit that the original The CROW avoided because it only ever achieved cult classic status. And to me, it's incredible that they missed the irony. If you remember this scene in the original...
Problem is, it's all been done before, you see what I'm saying?
There's no reason to quit.
Wrong. Best reason to quit. Man has an idea. The idea attracts others, like-minded. The idea expands. The idea becomes an institution. What was the idea? Because I tell you, when I used to think about the idea itself, it put a big old smile on my face.
Where I knew it, every charlatan shitheel was imitating me. Do you know what they got now? Devil's Night greeting cards.
The idea has become the institution, boys.
Now granted, Top Dollar's logic was fueled by a ton of cocaine, and he did eventually come to the conclusion that they needed to
set a fire so goddamn big the gods will notice us again. That's what I'm saying.
But the point is this, is that The Crow was a beautiful idea. The Crow was an idea born of James O'Barr's very real tragedy that then got turned into a film that was also marked by tragedy. A 28-year-old up-and-coming star dies as a result of very real negligence on that set. The Crow is steeped in tragedy, and to think that Lionsgate brings this back and leaves the door open for sequels. F the fact that the looks are terrible. F the fact that Skarsgard's version of Eric, not Draven, apparently, looks just like T-Bird in the original The Crow, except with worse tattoos. He looks like the kind of guy that Brandon Lee's Eric Draven would go kick the ass of. He looks like a literal villain. Never mind the corny middle school dialogue.
You feel like my person.
You feel like my person.
But to think that they're hell-bent on turning this into a franchise with sequels? I mean, what are we gonna have? The Crow Go-Gurt tubes? Is that where we're headed? New TV spots and teasers aren't making this look any better, and Danny Houston, the villain of the film, claims that they didn't want to imitate the original, that they had all these different ideas. An opportunity to tell this kind of murder of crows, inky story about revenge and just create a different language for it, but yet still be inspired by it, the original, and its characters, but make something different. Yes, different and terrible. Different enough that it should just be a different person. The only reason they're even using the name Eric and relating it to Eric and Shelley from the comics and from the movie is so that they can bank on that film and the comics cult classic status. They could have done a Crow story on anybody and I would not have given a shit, but they chose Eric because that name means something to the franchise. They're making this movie for a modern audience that doesn't exist. Audiences want good content, and that's not what The Crow 2024 looks like. People in the Crow subreddit that I happen to lurk on all the time, they're up in arms defending this movie because they feel like the rest of us devout Crow fans are just gatekeeping. I'm not gatekeeping. This looks like dog shit. And you know what? I'm gonna keep talking about it. If we can show Hollywood that these reboots where they take what we loved and manipulate them into these shapeless, soulless pieces of garbage, if we show them that we're not gonna watch these anymore, maybe they'll stop making them, and maybe another beloved franchise won't have to face the same fate that sadly The Crow is gonna have to face. Where now, when I tell some asshole on a dating site The Crow is my favorite movie of all time, I have to specify the 1994 one, not the 2024 one with the asshole with neck tattoos and terrible makeup. To me, the fact that Lionsgate is doing this at all is so repulsive and so terrible. The 30th anniversary of The Crow should have been marked by theater re-releases. It should not be marked by this absolute dog shit reboot coming out. It's not being done with any love for the original, any love for Brandon Lee or Alex Proyas or anybody else who was involved in the making of this movie, and it certainly isn't being done with any real love for James O'Barr and his work. It's being done to sell t-shirts and sell merch to a movie that should have never fucking been made. And all I have to say is,
guess it's not a good day to be a bad guy, huh, Skank? Skank dead. That's right.
And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to tune in on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST. You can also check out my Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and content. I will add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on the upcoming The Crow reboot in the comments below.